Hey you doing everybody, this is John, host of Video Games in the World. I hope you're having a nice, happy holiday, because I'm doing a playthrough, taking a break from writing episodes, because I'm doing news right now, so we're going to do a playthrough of the first Legend of Zelda video game, The First Quest. Okay, this is a story. Many years ago, Prince Darkness Ganon stole one of the Triforce with power. Princess Zelda had one of the Triforce with wisdom. She divided it into 8 units to hide it from Ganon before she was captured. Go find the 8 units link to save her. And here's all the treasures: the heart container, the fairy, the clock, the rupee, 5 rupees, before there was 20 rupees, life potion, the second potion, the ladder, the food, sword, white sword, magical shield, boomerang, magical boomerang, pretty much everything. Now, some of these items in the game you don't get to see again, and after that, but at least some of them come back in other Zelda games. So, the first Legend of Zelda game is one of the hardest games ever created by Nintendo. It's a game that can challenge your gaming skills, make you cry, break your controllers, and even leave you partially insane. So now, let us begin with the first quest. And we are to get our sword. It's dangerous to go alone. Take this. And this is the first sword in the game, the wood sword. And you know, the funny thing is that in the original Legend of Zelda, game is mad difficult. But later games have become like too easy. Almost too easy. And Legend of Zelda has been a major part of me since I was 3 years old, playing Zelda II and this one as well. I really enjoyed both games. They were great. Now, I don't understand why so many people hate the second Legend of Zelda game. I thought it was cool. Alright, so as you saw, I just entered the very first dungeon and got my first key in the game. And you start with 3 hearts, just like in every Zelda game. And we get a key from one of the Stalfos. There you go. Okay, so now let us move on to the next room. So you have to kill 3 Stalfos here in order to get no key in there. Alright, let's go up. More Stalfos to kill. Oh, shoot. There you go. Okay, there's the next key. So, the first treasure that you get in the game is the bow. Ooh. Now, in this game of The Legend of Zelda, when you have bow and arrows, the arrows, those are your currency. When you shoot an arrow in the game, you lose a rupee. The more arrows you shoot, the more rupees you lose. And when you're out of rupees, you're gonna have to save up a lot of rupees in order to get more arrows. But trust me, in this game, when you go to a shop, items are mad expensive. In some places, they are expensive. Okay, moving this block to open the door. And in every dungeon, there's an old man that gives you hints. Eastmost Peninsula is a secret. it's a hint for something that you can see later on in the game. Okay, so this is the map of the first dungeon, and it has like the shape of an eagle. More Gyptos, and one of them has a key. I mean, Stalfos. You know, they remade The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening for the Nintendo Switch, and we know what, guys? They should remake this game as well for the Switch with the same graphics. Okay, so these three creatures are Gorias, and this is where you get the boomerang in the game by slaying the Gorias. In the next dungeon, you kill more powerful Gorias, and that's when you get the second boomerang. Okay, now watch out for those spikes and move this block, and then there's your first treasure in the game. The bow and your first main treasure in the game, the bow and arrows. The bow. But in order to get arrows, you need to buy them for 80 rupees. And remember, when you shoot arrows, you lose 1 rupee. So the arrows and the rupees are both combined into one. Fusion! Ha! So now we are almost approaching to the first boss of the game. Now be careful with the Gorias because their boomerangs can hit really, really hard. Especially if in the second dungeon their boomerangs are magic. Okay, so here we got the boomerang. I thought we got it earlier. Our second main treasure in the game. In this dungeon, the boomerang. Now, the Wall Masters, of course, they send you back to the beginning. And here he is, our first boss of the game, the Aquamantis. Now, the Aquamantis doesn't return until the Game Boy Color Legend of Zelda game entitled Oracle of Seasons. And there is our first piece of the Triforce of Wisdom. So, pat in the back for me for completing the first dungeon. Now, sometimes when you kill enemies, they will drop fairies. You can deflect the Octorok's rock with your shield. Now, you can deflect certain things with your shield, with your normal shield, but some things to deflect, you need the bigger shield, which we will get on later in the game. So now, our next stop is the second dungeon. I remember watching the commercial of The Legend of Zelda. The first Legend of Zelda. But the first Legend of Zelda commercial, I never saw it because I was still very little. I was a baby at the time. But I saw it on the internet. God bless the internet. On YouTube, you know? Now, The Legend of Zelda was so popular that it spawned a cartoon series, but it only aired on Fridays in the Super Mario Bros. Cartoon show called the Super Mario Bros. Super Show. And those cartoons of The Legend of Zelda were mad cheesy. The ones where Link is always whining, "Excuse me, princess!" And every time Zelda refusing to kiss him. Jesus Christ. Now the levers can be a pain in the ass. That's for sure. Now, in some areas of the world map, the wisest thing to do is take the heart container. Now, in order to get a stronger sword later on in the game, you need more hearts. Moblins, those pig-like creatures that are Ganondorf's troops. Okay. Now, the blue moblins, they're a lot stronger, especially when you have the first sword. Oh, Jesus. I'm gonna get my ass kicked. Okay, here we go. There we go. And in some areas, you can get a high number of rupees, which is cool. Now, red enemies in the original Legend of Zelda are weaker, but the blue ones are a lot stronger. And I'm getting my butt handed down too. This is it, the second dungeon. Now the snakes, those are the ones that give you the most trouble. But if you're lucky enough to have the clock, if you're lucky enough that an enemy drops a clock, then you're going to end up safe for the moment. And pray that they drop a heart, you know, so you can recover some life. Now, a blue potion is worth 48 rupees, is worth 40 rupees, but the red ones are worth 68, in which they're more expensive. Whew, lucky me, a fairy. Also, the Legend of Link didn't appear only in the Super Mario Bros. Cartoon series. Remember that cartoon Captain N, the Game Master? Well, in Captain N, the Game Master, there was this episode called The Quest for the Potion of Power in which Link and Zelda appeared. Now, in that version, Link was not as stupid and clumsy as he was in those Super Mario Bros. Cartoons. And they were voiced by Canadian... Link and Zelda were voiced by Canadian actors Cynthia Preston and Jonathan Potts. Cynthia Preston later on would be in the TV show Total Recall 2070, and she was also in a movie called If Looks Could Kill, starring Richard Grieco from the hit TV series 21 Jump Street. The original 21 Jump Street, something my second older sister used to watch. Girls were swooning over Johnny Depp and the boys? Holly Robinson Peete. She was beautiful. And she still is, indeed. Also, Cynthia Preston was in the TV show Total Recall 2070. Jonathan Potts, I remember watching him he was also did some voice work in the cartoon Beverly Hills Teens, which was like a cartoon version of Beverly Hills 90210 or something like that. Okay, now, before we proceed with the subject, the blue Gorias, they're the ones that give you the most trouble. Pain in the ass. Jesus, I got my butt whooped. So, about saving the game in this game, you could save it, but you had to press both reset and power at the same time. That's something my older brother used to do. That's what I needed for those blue Gorias. Darn it. Forget about those Gorias. And better watch out for those blobs too. Sometimes killing an enemy can dispatch all of them at once. Sometimes killing like one particular enemy can dispatch them all at once. Oh, fire snakes. Better be careful with those ones. Okay, here we go. Gotcha. That's another key. Let's go on this side. And here we go. Oh, we got a bomb. Now, the boss in this stage is none other than one of the recurring enemies in The Legend of Zelda, the Dodongo. The infernal dinosaur King Dodongo in Ocarina of Time. I remember fighting him when I first played the game. Now, here's the thing about when you kill the Blue Gorayas and getting the magic boomerang. Once you dispose of them and you get the magic boomerang, they're also going to have a magic boomerang. And, oh, Jesus, I got killed again. So, well, third time's a charm. One can only hope. Okay, 82 rupees I got. Enough to buy the arrows, but that's still only a few ways to go. I'd rather not buy them until I get to the 6th dungeon where I have to fight Goma, another one of the recurring bosses in the game. And that's exactly what I wanted with the Blue Gorayas. Jesus Christ. It so randomly appears. Well, what I've been doing this week? Well, trying to get some to give you some news, people, and also watching Star Wars movies because I'm looking forward to The Rise of the Skywalker. But I don't know. I just hope it doesn't bomb. Now, certain things I find kind of like problematic regarding in how people act when it comes to people not liking The Last Jedi or something like that. Oh, Jesus, again. Sorry, people. It's just it's been a long time since I played this game. And if you're asking me, now, you might ask if I'm playing on the NES Classic, right? Well, I'm not. I'm playing on an emulator. And boy, Nintendo's gonna get me for this. Okay, as I was saying about Star Wars, look, what really bothers me are people who are defending of this war between Last Jedi supporters and Last Jedi haters is this, like, many haters of The Last Jedi would go after Kelly Marie Tran. I feel really bad for her because of what happened. But at the same time, The Last Jedi defenders are no better either. Like calling them misogynistic man babies or something like that, you know. Now here's the thing of what I hated about The Last Jedi. What I hated about The Last Jedi was lack of character development, the casino subplot, I hated it. The character of Holdo, I found her irritating in many ways. He's better yet, NSA or Admiral Gender Studies as they call her. But let me tell you something. The thing with Rose Tico's character being so poorly received, it wasn't Kelly Marie Tran's fault. It's the way she was written and developed. The Dongo dislikes smoke. Yeah, the bomb is his weakness. Okay. Open up. More. There you go. You see? A fairy. Of all the times. There you go. And now, we're gonna fight the Dodongo. So, in order to kill the Dodongo, you have to put a bomb right in front of it. Hit at the right time. There you go, right there. And he's down. Another heart container. And a second piece of the Triforce, ladies and gentlemen. Also, what I didn't like about The Last Jedi was Luke's portrayal. But hey, the character of Rey, I have no problems with her. Although a lot of people say that she's a Mary Sue. Who, because she uses the Force without any training of any kind. Okay, now, enough of Star Wars. We'll have the conversation for some other time. That reminds me, I need to catch up with The Mandalorian so I can make a Season 1 review. Now, the magic boomerang can stun your enemies for a longer time compared to the ordinary boomerang. Okay. This is one of the quickest ways to earn money. There are many secret areas in the map that you can get to in order to make money. A lot of money. So all I got is a Triforce, 2 pieces of the Triforce, actually. Now, regarding the Legend of Zelda cartoons, there's this episode where they get pieces of the Triforce, which is a good reference to the game. Okay, now, in order to buy potions, you need this letter. Show this to the old woman. The old woman, in some areas, will give you... When you show the letter to the old woman, she's gonna sell you potions. And now that I get 6 hearts, I got enough to go and get the white sword, which is the second strongest in the game. But I have to get to Death Mountain. Okay. Now be careful with this centaur light creature, because that creature, he shoots swords and it hurt so bad, especially when you have the first your green uniform. Okay, so now I got the white sword. So I can take on other enemies as well. Ah, Jesus. I got careless. What can I say? Alright. 160 rupees for a freaking shield? Dude. So, was looking at a map, seeing where I can buy other bombs and all that stuff. Yeah, I'm pretty humble when it comes to making my playthroughs. Okay. Let's go up to that. Okay, so now the third dungeon is very close. Now in this area, in this area above, you can, in the next area that you have to go up, you can buy the ring, but it costs like 250 rupees. Can you believe that? The blue ring can provide you protection, but it's not as good as the red ring. Buy medicine before you go. Yes, ma'am. Jeez. There's such rip-offs in this game when it comes to potions and stuff like that. Well, in other games of Zelda, they can be pretty much rip-offs, you know. Now, okay, now here is where you can find a fairy where you can recover your health. A fairy spring. Now, the first Legend of Zelda game doesn't have that much of a story, but what you gotta do is get 8 pieces of the Triforce and save Princess Zelda from Ganon. Now, Zelda has played the damsel in distress trope in many games, but she's not like she's not always a damsel in distress, because there are times where she has fought alongside Link. For example, like in Twilight Princess, in Ocarina of Time, she used her power to hold the evil king back because she was the seventh sage, the seventh sage, the leader of all the 6 sages. Now, why does Ganondorf capture Zelda all the time? Well, because Zelda is not just a strong political figure, but also because she's the key to a power that goes beyond understanding. And if that power falls into the wrong hands, there will be chaos. So I'm heading back to Death Mountain. So what am I doing right now? Well, heading back to Death Mountain in order to get some other items as well. And rupees, these two. Now, there are some areas where you pay people and they say, pay me and I'll talk, like you just saw right now. But the problem is, I wouldn't dare. Now, if you pay them, they'll give you a clue. But the more money you pay, the better the clue that they give you. But it's best not to do so. You don't want to waste your money because you want to use it later on in the game for important items. Now, The Legend of Zelda has many, many different timelines. Means and they always say this, tell the story of various heroes. Because look, in the Legend of Zelda, in every Legend of Zelda game, Link is the incarnation of other heroes who wore the same tunic as he did. Now, the original Legend of Zelda comes from the Fallen Hero timeline. The Fallen Hero timeline is an alternate timeline in which Ganondorf defeats the Hero of Time in battle. He takes Link's Triforce of Courage and Zelda's Triforce of Wisdom, thus gaining the power to complete the Triforce. As a last resort, the Seven Sages, led by Zelda, sealed Ganon and the Triforce with the corrupted Sacred Realm, within the corrupted Sacred Realm, now known as the Dark World. The branch timeline contains the events of A Link to the Past, Link's Awakening, Oracle of Seasons and Ages, A Link Between Worlds, Triforce Heroes, Legend of Zelda, and The Adventure of Link. Another timeline is the Imprisoning War. Her. There's also the Child Link timeline, which is from Ocarina of Time, and contains the events of Majora's Mask, Twilight Princess, and Four Swords Adventures. Majora's Mask is a sequel to Ocarina of Time. I don't get it why so many people didn't like it that much, but I did like the game. Like, some people like some of my best friends in childhood don't like the game that much and prefer Ocarina of Time. I don't know, either they're being a little bit too biased or they just don't like the game at all. Now, the Adult Link timeline contains the events of the Wind Waker, Phantom Hourglass, and Spirit Tracks. And the Great Calamity contains the events of Breath of the Wild and its upcoming sequel. Yeah, so this is what I was doing, getting more rupees and getting more heart containers. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm almost about to wrap this video up. And I hope you enjoyed, so you can comment, like my video, and hit that little subscribe button as well, and also support me on Patreon. 2 years ago, before The Last Jedi, I was making Star Wars playthroughs. And about The Legend of Zelda, you know what the funny thing is? I never got to finish Skyward Sword. The issues of adulthood. The issues of adulthood. You know how it is. So this area, ladies and gentlemen, is the Lost Woods. But we're gonna traverse through it later on in the game. In the playthrough that I'm doing right now. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, the next video will be the 3rd dungeon, which leads to the 4th and the 5th. Later, gamers.